What's up, everybody? Welcome to Bios3 Raw TV. Adjust this fucking camera angle here. I'm sitting all fucked up. There we go. Turn a light on, too, over here. Maybe get some light in there. Let there be light. We've got some questions. Actually, a couple people, which, not a whole lot, but a couple people, which asked a question, which was pretty cool. Said, out of all the pros that you've met, who are the coolest ones and who are the biggest dicks? Now, I don't know if this is like companies, which if I mention them as being a big douchebag, if I can get sued, which is fucking retarded because it's just my opinion of them. So if I don't mention their names, there's a possibility they could probably be big pricks, or maybe they're cool. But if I don't mention their names, then they're probably not the ones that I like to hang out with, or that I've thought was very outgoing. Now, as far as pros who I've met that have been really cool and super outgoing and stuff, I've met a lot of them throughout the years, but Dorian Yates seemed legitimately interested in what his fans had to say and stuff. I met him in, I think it was 1998 or something like that, at the New England's up in Boston, Massachusetts. Dave Palumbo has always been very cool and willing to talk. I actually did an interview with him for M3Muscle.com, which I used to own with Kevin Lavroni and a friend of ours, Rick. At the same time, he had opened RxMuscle.com, and it was literally like the same week. And Kevin and Rick, I went to Junior Nationals, and Kevin and Rick were joking. They're like, "Hey, if you see Palumbo, because he's a competitive website, go get an interview from him." And they were messing with me to see if I would. And I saw Dave, and I was like, "Well, fuck it. Hey, Dave, I'm Jerry from M3 Muscle. Will you do an interview for our website?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." So we did the interview, and he was really cool about it. But met him many, many times. Of course, Lavroni. I mean, he's been a good friend over the years. He's always been there if I needed him. Sometimes he doesn't. He's not really around because he's traveling and stuff, but, I mean, if you call him, he'll get back to you, and, he's not going to leave you hanging. Jay Cutler, of course, always outgoing, always listens to you, talk to you, tells you, personal stuff about him and stuff, like, what's going on in his life, what's he got going next and stuff. He's just very open like that. Sean Ray, many people don't like him. I've had nothing but great interactions with him. He's been very outgoing. He actually spent some time on the phone with me after the Delaware, where I was dealing with a disappointment of not winning that show, which I felt that I should have. But I mean, the calls are the calls. Who gives a shit? It's the way it goes. And at the same time, my dad having cancer. At the same time, with a back injury, which I really couldn't move very well, and spent about an hour on the phone with me, explaining to me that, like, look, if you back out because you don't have it anymore, whatever, that's fine. But if you really want to buck up and get it done, now that all these chips have got you down, your chips are down, now's the time to buck up and prove what you got to yourself. So, that discussion really fired me up, and I did get back to the stage. It wasn't my all-time best. I wasn't better than I was the week before, but, I was still, better than, I'd say at least 50% of the people in that class. But anyways, Sean, let's see, Craig Capurso, he's an IFBB physique pro. When I met Craig, he actually, we had a discussion because I am not a bigger competitor. I am more of like a physique size, light heavyweight, about 185, 190 pounds. We had a discussion about physique, and, he was pretty in-depth with things, outgoing, nice, like, can't say enough about the guy. I mean, he's been really cool. Who else? Stan McQuay has always been really cool when I've interacted with him. Another guy who, he's a big inspiration to many people, and he's all over many ads for the animal company. Frank McGrath, they call him Wrath. Now, what's interesting about Wrath is he had this accident which pretty much almost killed him. He was never even supposed to train ever again. And he comes back from this, and he's competing as a pro, and he's getting better. So he's like not even coming into his peak yet. He's getting better and better and better. And people find that very motivating. And, I met Wrath a couple times at the expos and stuff. And then I went down to Mexico and saw that they were selling Animal Pack in the pharmacies, and they had like his poster on the wall. I was like, oh, shit, I don't even know if he knows this. Took a picture, mailed it to him, and now when I see him, I'm like, I don't know if you remember. He's like, yeah, Jerry, the guy, from Mexico. We have these discussions about different things that are going on. He's a really outgoing dude, real cool, mellow, real calm. Who else? Big Rami, when we met him, although he didn't say very much, was just ecstatic that people were wanting to talk to him. They were wanting to take pictures with him. You could just see the glow in his face that he's living his dream. And Dennis James as well has always been very nice. I've met him several times. Let's go sideways a little bit and want to talk about, women pros. Tangi Johnson, who's a fitness pro, the IFBB fitness pro, who actually trained Kari. Kari learned how to pose from Tangi at a seminar that was out in Montana, I believe it was, or Seattle or Montana or something like that. And interesting story, Tangi used to be on American Gladiators. I don't remember what her name was on Gladiators or whatever. And Kari told me, you know, I met Tangi Johnson, learned a post from her, I know her, blah, 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 blah. So these things go on. And here's a little story time for you guys involved with this too. You know, I go to the Arnold 2010. Kari's competing. I prepped her for the show. It's our first big show as a couple and a team prepping together. And I'm there with my buddy Mario, who's my roommate at the time. And Mario actually has a pro hormone company, which I'm going to talk about when I get a hold of him. It's a brand new company it's on. I don't know much about the pro hormone, so we're going to have him on here to talk about that. So Mario and I are watching the show, and we're saving a couple of seats. And these two girls come up and sit next to us. And they're saying, I said, you know, they said, is this seat saved? They said, yeah, we're waiting for our friend. He's on his way. So I said, you know, do you have anybody competing? And she said, no, you know, like we're here with some friends. It's part of our team. We're from Seattle, Washington, blah, 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 blah. So as it turns out, our friend Rick wasn't coming, so we had the seat open. So I said, you know, if your friend wants this seat, I said, you know, it's open. Our buddy's not coming. So there's a seat next to me. So I feel the person sit down. I'm looking at Mario. I'm talking, look at the stage. I turn around and look, and it's Tangi Johnson sitting there. And I recognize her right away, and she's flipping through a magazine. And I'm looking at her, I said, are you Tangi Johnson? Of course I already know it's Tangi, right? And she says, yeah, hi. I said, hi, my name is Jerry Ward. I'm Kari Keenan's boyfriend. And she goes, oh, Kari, how is Kari doing? Blah, blah, blah. I said, she's actually competing today. She's in the back getting ready. I said, you know what? Hang on a second. Can we take a picture? So I take a selfie of me and Tangi. Then I send it to Kari. But in the text I send, guess who I'm hanging out with? And she sends who? And I said, you'll never guess. So I kind of keep tagging her along a little bit. And then I send her the picture, and she's like, no way, Tangi Johnson. So now we're sitting there just talking about different things. She's looking through the magazine. She opens up the magazine. There's a picture of her. And I go, oh my God, I know that lady. And she just starts laughing. Very cool. And now, you know, we've run into her at different places. Like I did cardio with her at the Team Universe on the treadmills together one morning. I mean, she's so cool. And, you know, I can't say enough about her. Just love Tangi to pieces. Nicole Negrani, who, you know, I met. I think I told the story about how we met. If not, I'll have to search through it and maybe tell the story. But, you know, former Miss Bikini Olympia. I didn't know who she was. And I felt really bad after I met her. And I went to apologize. And now, you know, stay in touch through Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. But just such a sweet girl, such a nice girl. Who else? I mean, there's so many pros that I've met throughout the years that, you know, most of them. King Kamali was always very cool. Dennis Wolf. The first time I met Dennis Wolf, I was with Kevin Lavroni and Rick, and we pulled up, and I was competing at the Pittsburgh, and we got out, and he was standing there with his wife, and I just remember going, like, he's gigantic. Gunther Schlurkamp, again, very, very cool guy, nice. I'll talk to you about anything. Took a picture with my mom at the Body Rock when her and my dad came up to watch me compete, and, you know, it's the first time we'd seen a 300-plus pound Gunther, and she'd never seen anybody like that, so she just walks up to him. My mom's like 4'11", and she's like, you're huge, and he just kind of like smiles at her and stuff. She's like, can I take a picture with you? So they took a picture together, his 6'2", 300-pound frame with my little 4'11" mom. Bob Ciccarello, always outgoing, always nice. Never really talked to him that much, but, you know, Kari really, really loves all of his shirts, so she always takes pictures when she sees him. He's always outgoing and more than happy to oblige for taking pictures or anything like that. Phil Heath, obviously, you guys have seen the video. Victor Martinez, also great guy. This guy used to come guest pose down here every year, and he came to like a grand opening of a fitness or a personal training studio out in Frederick. So we went up there because friends of ours owned it and talked to Victor a little bit, and that's when I was first starting a channel. I said, I'm trying to build this, you know, kind of something different. And what I want to do is I don't want to do an interview with how to get huge, how to diet down to get shredded. I want to do an interview with you about something different and how bodybuilding has affected you and what it's done for you in your real life. What have you been able to take and kind of cross over into real life and how it's helped you? And he was like, oh my God, yeah, let's do that. You know, let's do that. Let's do it right now. So we filmed that thing, and, you know, he's just always more outgoing, and you could talk to him about anything and be like, hey man, how you feeling today? He'd be like, well, good, I didn't get enough sleep last night. Just like a normal guy. It's very cool. Who else? Man, it's just, you know, throughout the years, you know, you run into these guys, and some of them wind up remembering you, and you remember them, of course, from the things that they say and do. But some of the other guys, where I remember one former Mr. Olympia, never met him before, saw him, and he was so massive, and I was like so excited to see this guy. And I think it was 2007 at the Pittsburgh. Never seen him before. And I walk up to him, and he's got nobody around him, nothing going on. I was like, oh, you know, it's an honor to meet you. Can I get a picture with you? He's like, yeah, hold on a minute. He just turned his back to me and was like looking around on the floor and stuff. Like, he was doing nothing. There was no phone call, no text message. He just didn't feel like doing it. And then he took something out of his backpack, threw it on the table. He's like, all right. And we took the picture. You know, like, it was just, it was not what a champion is. It's not what somebody who respects their fans would do. I mean, it was just, whether I caught him at a bad time or not, I understand. But later on, he pulled some bullshit when he guest posed in Maryland and showed up late and only stayed for a little while and bolted out of there with his money and his wife, who both had to fly first class and all their bullshit. And it was just, you really got to know, like, look, this is really not a good guy at heart. He may act like it, but deep down, he's not the champion that everybody thinks he is. Well, on stage he is, but, not on things that you do off stage actually make you just as much a champion as if you're winning your shows, too. So, I've had some bad run-ins. I guess not run-ins, but I'd have some bad things happen, too. But, I mean, overall, most of these guys have been very cool. The guys that I named are probably the ones I hold in the highest regard as far as, how nice they are, outgoing, if they really give a shit about their fans and people in general. So, hope this was entertaining for you guys. If you guys want to put stuff in the comment section about other bodybuilders who I might have left out because I just forget, it's already an 11-minute video, so we got to wrap this up. But if you put names down below, if I've met them and stuff, maybe I'll make a follow-up video and fill you in on what's going on with that. BioStraining@gmail.com. Leave comments and names of whoever you want to know about in the bottom. www.biostraining.com is a blog, and where the interacting with the pros bicep, and we're out.
ExtremeLiving.biz would like to announce that we are bringing Jerry Ward of Bios3 Training and Jason English of Big J's Extreme Fitness to our booth at the 2014 Blue Ridge Fitness Festival, where Mark the Machine Lowbliner will hold the ANBF Natural Bodybuilding Show. More information can be found at ExtremeLiving.biz. See you there.